Despite being a powerhouse in the entertainment industry, Disney has produced several films that have flown under the radar, and one such gem is Treasure Planet. This animated feature has all the ingredients that make for a great movie: an exciting adventure, lovable characters, and stunning visuals. Unfortunately, the film didn't quite hit it off initially, but over time it's gained a second wind and the recognition it deserves. The roots of the film can be traced back to literature. Back in 1883, Scottish author Robert Louis Stevenson published his famous novel Treasure Island, and is now considered a timeless classic in world literature. Across generations, readers have been captivated by Jim Hawkins' adventures, his unexpected friendships, and his quest for hidden treasure. As with many literary triumphs, the book was eventually adapted into a movie, building on its success in the literary world. The Walt Disney Company took on the challenge of producing a film adaptation of Treasure Island, which became the studio's first live-action feature instead of an animated one. The movie, directed by Byron Hoskins, was released in 1950 and starred Bobby Driscoll, a beloved child star of the era, as Jim Hawkins. Robert Newton gave a remarkable performance as Long John Silver, the cunning cook who turns out to be a desperate pirate with his sights set on the treasure. Just as in the original book, the relationship between Jim and Silver was at the core of the movie, and it was this central dynamic that helped make it a success. In 1986, Disney released a miniseries called Return to Treasure Island, which served as a sequel to Stevenson's novel. A decade later, the company took a unique approach to adaptation with Muppet Treasure Island, using beloved Jim Henson's puppets to portray the characters in their signature style. Both of these adaptations brought a fresh perspective to the timeless story of Treasure Island, showcasing the continued relevance and appeal of Stevenson's work. Despite previous adaptations staying faithful to Stevenson's historical setting, screenwriter and director Ron Clements had a unique vision for Treasure Island. In 1985, at the same meeting where he proposed The Little Mermaid, Clements pitched the idea of an animated film based on Stevenson's book, but with a futuristic twist set in space. However, Jeffrey Katzenberg, who headed Disney Film Division at the time, did not show interest in the concept. Clements understood the challenges, recognizing that the technology of the time was not yet capable of bringing his vision to life with the visual brilliance he had in mind, akin to a Steven Spielberg movie. Clements and Musker's idea for Treasure Island in space had to be put on hold as they focused on the success of The Little Mermaid, which kicked off Disney's second golden age of animation. Despite their initial plans, they decided to work on Aladdin and Hercules first. However, they were determined not to let their Treasure Island project fall by the wayside. To bring it to fruition, they enlisted the help of Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio, who had previously collaborated with the duo on Aladdin. Together, they worked on a treatment and new script for the film. Their plan was to complete the story of the mythological hero in Hercules and then move forward with Treasure Planet. Clements and Musker were further motivated by the success of Toy Story, Disney's first fully computer-animated feature film, which was released during their work on Aladdin and Hercules. Seeing the groundbreaking techniques employed in Toy Story, they believed it was now possible to bring their ambitious visual ideas to life through animation. Clements had a clear vision for adapting Treasure Island, implementing a methodology called 70-30 for both the script and visual aspects of the project. The script needed to be 70% faithful to Stevenson's novel, while the remaining 30% was devoted to innovations, particularly the science fiction elements. Thus, the island was transformed into a planet, and the main characters traveled through space instead of water. However, the design of the Hawkins Inn, clothing, and galleon remained faithful to the 19th century style. This combination of Victorian culture and technology closely resembled the subgenre known as steampunk, which is prevalent in authors like Jules Verne. Adhering to the style presented a challenge for Edwards. Clements' creative vision for Treasure Planet included not only science fiction and technology, but also changes to the characters. Several of them were now portrayed as aliens with characteristics reminiscent of animals, insects, and other creatures, including robots. However, Jim remained human and retained the qualities from the original book. Initially, Clements presented him as a rebellious teenager, drawing inspiration from James Dean. Jim was portrayed as a young man experiencing a pivotal moment in his life, struggling to chart his own course. The characters underwent further modifications before the final version of the film. Squire Trelawney and Dr. Livesey, who served as Jim's mentors in the novel, were combined into the character of Dr. Doppler. Silver was given a cybernetic arm in addition to his missing leg. Clements also introduced a new character, Captain Amelia, which was a significant departure from the original novel, where the only female character was Jim's mother. Clements and Musker included several nods to Stevenson and classic science fiction in Treasure Planet. For example, the galleon that the character traveled on was named the RLS Legacy, as a tribute to the author's initials. Another reference is when Ben, the robot who becomes Jim's friend, sings the pirate song from Peter Pan. In order to bring the characters to life, Clements and Musker set out to cast actors for the film. They considered a number of actors for the role of Jim, such as Edward Furlong, who had previously portrayed the rebellious teenager John Connor in Terminator 2. Other actors they considered included John Cho, Keanu Reeves, James Franco, and comedian Jimmy Fallon. Eventually, they chose the then-rising actor Joseph Gordon-Levitt to play the lead role. For the role of Silver, they looked at Sean Connery and James Palance. However, they ultimately chose South African actor Brian Murray. Similarly, despite Penelope Cruz, Kim Basinger, and Angelina Jolie initially turning down the role, Emma Thompson was eventually cast as Captain Amelia. For the character of Dr. Doppler, the directors had David Hyde Pierce in mind, and he gladly accepted the role. In animation, it is common for actors to record their dialogues separately. However, in this case, Joseph Gordon-Levitt requested to record some parts of his dialogues with Brian Murray, as he found it challenging to do it alone. This was important to strengthen the close relationship between their characters in the film. Clements and Musker were determined to combine classic animation with computer technology to enhance the visual aspect of their film. They turned to their trusted team, including renowned animator Glenn Keane, who had previously worked on Ariel from The Little Mermaid. Keane supervised the animation of the character Silver, drawing him traditionally and then using CGI to design the robotic arm. This innovative approach allowed Keane to bring the director's vision to life in a seamless and cohesive manner. The animators faced a challenge in creating the space world to replace the sea. They looked to the warm tones and fairy tale-like quality of plastic art from the early 20th century, following the 70-30 principle. Ultimately, they decided to base their work on the illustrations by Newell Converse Wyeth for the 1911 edition of Treasure Island published by Scribner. Throughout the production of Treasure Planet, Clements and Musker emphasized that it would not be a full-fledged musical like their previous films, but it would feature incidental music and songs. Initially, they hired Alan Silvestri for the task, but he ended up working on another Disney animated film, Lilo and Stitch. As a result, veteran composer James Newton Howard, known for his work on Disney films such as Dinosaur and Atlantis: The Lost Empire, was brought on board. In addition, I'm Still Here was composed by John Resnick, the lead singer of the Goo Goo Dolls, and Always Know Where You Are was composed by the band BB-Mac. Even prior to the premiere of Treasure Planet, Clements and Musker were optimistic about the film's potential and had already brainstormed ideas for a potential sequel. Jim would enroll in the academy recommended by Captain Amelia and would develop a romantic interest in his classmate Kate. Alongside Silver, they would confront a new antagonist, a notorious pirate known as Ironbeard, with Willem Dafoe being considered for the role. Furthermore, plans for a television series were also in progress, with storyboards for several episodes already completed. On November 27, 2002, Treasure Planet was released in theaters. With its esteemed creative team and innovative approach to a beloved literary classic, Disney had lofty expectations for the film's success. Notably, Treasure Planet made history as the first movie to be premiered simultaneously in both regular screens and IMAX theaters, adding to the anticipation surrounding its release. However, Treasure Planet did not perform as expected. It faced tough competition from other blockbuster films at the time, such as Die Another Day from the James Bond franchise, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, and the animated film 8 Crazy Nights, featuring voices of Adam Sandler. As a result, Treasure Planet debuted at 4th place in the box office and struggled to maintain its position, ultimately earning significantly less than its production budget of $140 million, with an additional $40 million spent on advertising. Its global earnings were estimated to be around $110 million, resulting in substantial losses from Disney. This disappointing performance made Treasure Planet one of the biggest commercial failures in the history of the company. Another factor was that the concept of pirates, despite their futuristic and extraterrestrial portrayal, had not been able to captivate audiences for many years. However, this situation would change just a year later with the release of Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl, which went on to become one of Disney's biggest successes. Additionally, Disney was facing internal challenges at the turn of the century, as their movies were not earning as much as anticipated, and they faced tough competition from rivals like DreamWorks, co-founded by Jeffrey Katzenberg, who had left Disney on strained terms. In 2001, Peter Schneider resigned as president of the Walt Disney Company just over a year after taking the position. Although Treasure Planet did not perform well at the box office, it received positive reviews for its original adaptation and visual work. The critical acclaim garnered a nomination for Best Animated Feature at the Oscars the following year. However, the ultimate winner that night was Spirited Away, directed by Hayao Miyazaki, which took home the prestigious award. As time passed, Treasure Planet's fortunes began to shift. Despite its initial struggles, it found new life when it was distributed on home video and aired on television. Its fan base started to grow, with many viewers recognizing it as a hidden gem that deserved more visibility and respect. Following the release of Treasure Planet, Clements and Musker were unable to realize their plans for a sequel or TV series. However, they continued to work with Disney and achieved great success. They went on to direct The Princess and the Frog, a hand-drawn animation film that garnered critical acclaim. Later, they delved into the world of digital animation with Moana. Treasure Planet may not have been an immediate box office success, but it remains a cherished film for many fans. It is a reminder that great stories can be adapted in bold and creative ways without losing their charm, and that a film's value can be recognized over time.